Okay, so you want to own a demolition company. The plan sounds simple. Buy the excavator, sign the contract, knock the building down, collect the check, keep whatever's left. Picture the best moment on site. The shear tears into concrete. Dust rolls up. Trucks line up nose to tail. It looks like that machine prints money every time the boom swings. Here's the reversal. The excavator is the cheapest, least risky thing here. You're paid to price what nobody can see before the shear ever swings. Not every job called demolition is the same bet. A full structural teardown means more tonnage, more hazmat risk, more schedule length, more insurance. Land clearing is a third bet again, thinner margin, quicker cycle. Same word on the invoice, 3 different risk profiles. Before you touch equipment, the site itself has to become legally demolishable. Utilities disconnected on the utility company's schedule. Traffic control permits if you're near a live street. Dust control measures the air district actually checks. And no matter the building's age, a mandatory hazmat inspection under the EPA's asbestos NESHAP rule, followed by a written 10 working day notice to regulators before work can start. A lot of new owners assume asbestos is an old building problem. It's a paperwork problem for every building. Skip the inspection or start early, and you're risking a stop work order that parks your financed equipment even longer. So your first purchase is probably an excavator. $100,000, $200,000 new, about 25% cheaper used, with heavier maintenance because demolition work destroys hydraulics and undercarriages fast. Add a dump truck, $100,000 to $150,000, maybe a bulldozer, $100,000 to $500,000. That's the plan almost everyone starts with. It's also the wrong first purchase, because none of it is legally usable yet. You need a contractor's license tied to demolition-specific bonding, general liability coverage, and that inspection cleared and filed. Licenses and permits themselves run only $500, $2,000. Cheap, just not fast. Meanwhile, your financed excavator sits idle in the yard, earning nothing, costing money anyway. One illustrative hypothetical startup model puts total launch capital near $935,000, roughly $350,000 for excavator and skid steer, $20,000 permits and certifications, $45,000 trailers and tools, $25,000 insurance down payment, $75,000 pre-opening payroll, $15,000 marketing, and a $108,000 working capital buffer, about 6 months at $18,000 fixed overhead. A leaner sourced estimate for a smaller excavating startup runs $191,000, $200,000. The machine is under 40% of that bigger total. The rest exists because revenue doesn't start the day the doors open. It starts when a bid clears inspection and notice periods, and a crew finally shows up. That gap is the real cost. Even with paperwork cleared, you still haven't answered whether to own that excavator at all. Buying ties up cash you need for survival. Financing converts an unpredictable bid-based business into a fixed monthly bill that doesn't care whether you won work this month. Leasing is similar. Lower cash outlay, but the payment runs through slow months just the same. Renting hourly, $100, $250 plus about $380 a week for a dumpster, shifts risk into project margin instead. No equity, but no obligation sitting there in a dead month either. None of these is universally right. It depends on how steady your pipeline actually is, and in year 1, you're guessing. A lease payment doesn't know you lost 2 bids this week. It's due regardless. Which job covers that payment depends heavily on location, not for foot traffic, but for disposal distance and regulatory weight. A job far from a landfill costs more in fuel and truck hours per ton. Dense urban sites carry traffic control, higher insurance, more exposure to people and property nearby. Rural sites carry less of both. A market can look busy and still fail your break-even math if disposal is far, insurance is steep, and permitting is slow. Stack an aggressive lease on top of a costly location, and your required break-even job count can climb past what your real bid volume supports before you notice. Assume you get financing and location roughly right. The next question is which job actually makes money, and the instinct is usually backward. A big structural teardown carries a mandatory hazmat inspection regardless of age, and older buildings frequently turn up asbestos in flooring or fireproofing that wasn't fully known at bid time. Abatement isn't optional once found. That cost, plus bigger insurance, plus heavier tonnage, stacks disproportionately against the headline price. A quiet interior strip-out next door carries almost none of that weight. Smaller bid, but a much larger share of it survives as margin. Then there's scrap, the piece nobody outside the industry thinks about. Structural steel and rebar have real commodity value. And who owns that scrap when the shear finishes is a contract term. Sometimes the owner keeps it and pays you less. Sometimes you keep it, betting steel prices hold favorable months after you locked your bid. Sometimes it's credited against the invoice. On a big infrastructure teardown, scrap recovery can hit 7 figures. The invoice for it doesn't arrive on bid day. It arrives weeks later, priced at whatever steel trades at then, not when you signed. The least dramatic job on your schedule can carry the healthiest margin, while your biggest contract quietly depends on a price nobody at your company controls. Then, several ordinary variables move at once, starting with winter. A financed excavator doesn't know it's December. The payment runs the same whether crews are idle or not. Layer in bonding. Performance bonds typically cover 100% of contract value. Premiums run 1 to 5% of the bond. Bid bonds on public work run near 20% of the bid. Bonding capacity, not demand, caps how much work you can even bid, because a surety's willingness to back you at once is a hard ceiling. Insurance follows the same logic. GL starts in the low 5 figures, deductibles up to $25,000 per occurrence. Structural jobs near occupied buildings often need $5 million plus umbrella coverage, plus separate pollution liability. And workers' comp for demolition labor runs about $17 per $100 of payroll, versus roughly 20 cents for clerical, a constant tax on every wage dollar, quietly eating margin all year. None of these alone sinks a company. Stacked together against a fixed equipment payment, they can. Which raises the real question. How does a large, decades-old, high-revenue demolition company end up liquidated? In the UK, the Competition and Markets Authority fined 10 demolition and asbestos firms £60 million for coordinated bid rigging across 19 contracts worth over £150 million between 2013 and 2018, deliberately losing cover bids with compensation moving between firms. Squibb Group, one of the UK's largest demolition contractors, was fined £2 million in that case, despite reporting $32.9 million turnover in FY 2022. Visible strength wasn't structural strength. Thin bid-driven margins, scrap price assumptions baked into old contracts, and heavy reliance on financed equipment were already there. The trigger was a drop in scrap steel prices plus lingering pandemic effects. In 2023, cash flow crisis. A company voluntary arrangement failed. Formal liquidation followed. Joint liquidators appointed March 2024. Debts exceeded £20 million. Liquidators found about £5.3 million of financed plant, mostly repossessed, investigated roughly £2 million of unaccounted equipment, and logged creditor claims near £42 million, including a single £14 million tax claim. Within about 4 months of the ruling's fallout, at least 5 established UK demolition firms failed, including a top 20 contractor and a 58-year-old family firm. Sector-wide fragility, not one company's mistake. Scale that down to a single location operator, fixed overhead around $18,000 month, an average $60,000 job at 15% net contribution, about $9,000 margin per job. Break-even sits at 2 completed jobs a month. But one job running a week long raises equipment cost roughly 25%. One undisclosed hazmat pocket, one soft scrap market on the wrong week. Either can erase a month's contribution entirely. Break-even isn't profit anyway. Taxes, reserves, debt paydown, and owner pay still sit past that line. What actually protects margin, more than the demolition contract itself, is disciplined scrap capture. Sorting, storing, timing the sale, paired with accurate hazmat and change order pricing. It has real limits. It needs labor, storage, working capital, and market timing, and it can't rescue a badly bid structural job. Run 2 scenarios at identical scale. Favorable, accurate estimate, on-time schedule, full bonding capacity, moderate financing, disciplined scrap timing, produces real sustainable owner income. Weaker, one job runs a week long, one hazmat surprise, a soft scrap market, one bonding constraint turning away a job, a pricier insurance renewal, Nothing catastrophic, just ordinary variables tilting the wrong way. Same scale, same job count, materially different take-home. That's operating leverage. Small, ordinary shifts swing owner income hard. So go back to the dust cloud, the shear tearing concrete, the crew swarming rubble. It still looks, for an afternoon, like a machine printing money. But everything that decided whether that afternoon made or lost money was locked in months earlier, in a bid nobody was watching get written.